Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. Welcome to another podcast. I always say that really weirdly.
Welcome back to the podcast.
No, I don't mean weirdly as in the way I talk.
Whoops.
I mean weirdly as the way I just say the words really weirdly.
I don't think so.
Oh, well.
No, you're conscious about how you talk.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, podcast 26, roll the intro.
Hello and welcome to Confetti Conversations,
the podcast where me and my sister talk all things weddings, wedding planning and married life.
Okay, podcast 26. Here we are.
Mhm.
Let's go. Today, we are going to talk about finding your wedding suppliers.
Mhm.
Suppliers, vendors, however you talk about it, that's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So, to start with, just as a general rule, we'll just talk about what suppliers/vendors are.
Mm-hmm.
They are the people who supply things to you. Not necessarily just supply things, but provide a service.
Yeah.
Something along that. So your photographer, your videographer, your caterers.
They're on the day people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wedding coordinators, stylists, all that kind of stuff. Those are your suppliers.
Mm-hmm.
And finding the right suppliers for your wedding is so important.
Yeah.
So important. I think knowing that you're going to, get along with your suppliers. I mean, some of them you don't necessarily see. Like, I didn't see my caterers massively. They were lovely to speak to, but I didn't really spend time with them. Whereas, like, your photographer is with you all day.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to make sure that you get along with your photographer.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the most important things, isn't it, really?
Absolutely.
Other suppliers would be like whether you have a celebrant or a registrar. I wouldn't really I guess a vicar at a church is a supplier.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you need them.
Yeah, but I don't know whether it would fall under the category of supplier.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know whether celebrant or registrar would fall under the category of supplier.
No, but there's still a person you need to make the day run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, well, we won't necessarily talk about
Yeah.
individual suppliers, but those are sort of a rough guideline of the different suppliers that you might find that you need for your wedding. So, suppliers,
Mm-hmm.
what made you pick the suppliers that you picked?
The photographer, I'd seen her do other people's weddings.
Yeah.
And been at a wedding where she had been at.
Yeah.
And then you had her.
Yeah.
So she was like a non.
Yeah. I agree. We met her at the same place, didn't we?
Yeah, which was actually my venue.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's weird.
But we just loved her vibe. We loved the way that she got the bride and groom to do things, the way that she got the everybody to do bits and bobs, and she was there, and she was a personality, but she was also inconspicuous.
She's just the nicest person.
Yeah, absolutely, and she just made the whole thing flow really easily.
Yeah.
But what was really good in that respect is that we'd seen her.
Mm-hmm.
We'd also seen another wedding that she'd done. We'd seen the photographs from that
A few,
afterwards.
actually. Yeah.
And that to me is like testimony. Like had we not have been in that position, we probably would have had to sort of do the research and things like that. So we were lucky that we'd found her through being at a wedding.
Yeah.
And there are other photographers that I have met at weddings that I would also consider because they were brilliant. Mm-hmm. But she was just the first person that I'd seen and loved her photos. And
the thing with the photography, they all have their kind of, I don't know if this is the right word, like a preset of how their photos look.
That's right, yeah.
If you look through their Instagram, is the best place to look. You'll see that there's a bit of a theme to the colouring, to the posing.
Yeah, they do like filters on a lot of them. Some of them are like heavy black and white. Some of them are not. Like ours has got quite a soft filter on it.
Yeah, like warm as well.
Yeah, very warm. I just love the colouring.
Yeah, no, they're gorgeous.
And I think that's what sort of drew us to her.
Yeah.
Is obviously we loved her on the day, but then when we saw the photos, we were like, oh yeah.
Yeah, no, she's amazing.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So for that, it was very much a feeling, like, and knowing her and seeing her work. But if we hadn't have seen her work, then research is your best friend in this one.
Yeah.
Testimonials, reviews, like you said, Instagram photos, tagged Instagram photos.
There's a lot of people will do styled shoots sometimes, and they look totally different to the actual weddings. So if you see on their social media it doesn't really look like a real wedding, it probably isn't.
Yeah.
Then you need to look into and like email them and be like, can I have a look at some of your portfolio?
Yeah.
So you can actually see what real weddings look like.
Yeah. You would hope, I think, with a photographer that majority of their, if they're starting out, then fair enough, they might not have as many real weddings, but you would hope that with a photographer that they would have things to showcase so you can see what's out there, and you can sort of, that's how you know that's the photographer that you want.
Yeah.
Because you've seen what they do.
Yeah.
They're quite easy in some respects, but having meetings with them is really important. So if you click or not.
Yeah.
Because like my photographer she was with me all day. She didn't leave my side. We were up close and personal. You have to get on with that person.
Yeah, definitely.
You have to vibe with them. Otherwise, it just would be a really long day for both of you.
Yeah.
And I think it's a supplier's job as well to be like, I don't think we click.
Yeah, I agree. I think if they've got enough about them to be able to say that, I've got a lot more respect for them as well.
Me
too. The thing with the suppliers as well, this goes to all of them, but obviously photographers, some will have their price ranges on their websites or on their Instagram or whatever. Some won't.
Yeah.
And you have to know your budget. Not necessarily before you approach them, but you need to know what you want to have.
Yeah. I think you need a rough idea of your budget, don't you? Because you can definitely contact multiple different photographers and videographers or all suppliers. You can contact a lot of them, but you definitely need to go in with an idea of what you're willing to spend.
Yeah.
I think for me, I so wanted this particular photographer that I was like, I will cut back on other things.
Same.
Like that was money I was going to spend.
Yeah.
And I'd also decided very early on I was having a videographer.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's also money that I have to spend, and I will cut back in other areas to make that work. And I think that's something you have to consider, isn't it, when you're doing your budget, is what is a really important thing to me, whether that be alcohol, whether that be a band, whether that be photographer, videographer. You have to think about what's really important to you. Where's the money? Where are you dedicating the money to?
Yeah.
And where are you happy to take it back?
Yeah.
So that would be my advice, is sort of, like you said, know your budget as you're going in.
When it comes to budget as well, when you've spoken to the supplier, if they're out of your price range, don't leave them hanging, because they'll have replied saying, yes, I'm free for your date or whatever.
Yeah.
Just reply and say,
Always
thank you for your
reply.
email. I just don't think you're in my budget. Just so they know, if someone else inquires, they are still free.
Because a lot of them will hold the date for you.
Yeah.
They will, like, if you've inquired, they'll hold the date because you're the first to inquire.
Yeah.
And then if you're not getting back to them, then they're like, I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of them don't. So if you want someone, book quick. But some do. They'll hold the date, and then they're missing out.
Yeah.
If you then don't book. So, make sure that you're clear with them and you have good communication with your supplier. But that goes both ways.
Yeah.
Good communication from your supplier is also really important. I know they're busy, and especially during like wedding season, that you do have to expect that there will be a few days where maybe, they're not going to reply to you same day every time.
Especially over weekends and stuff.
Yeah. If you're thinking that really heavy wedding season,
you want to be organised before then.
Yeah.
And if you're planning for next year, don't be offended that they haven't got in contact.
As you would want on your wedding day, they are the couple they're with are the most important people to them.
Yeah, and that's what you want for yourself.
Exactly. So you're like, you do the most important people today, which is them. Cooper, stop it, please. And then I'll be the most important person when it's
another
my
day.
time.
Yeah, exactly.
So definitely clicking with those intimate suppliers, the ones that you're going to spend a lot of time with, is a big one.
Yeah, that would include like a wedding coordinator if you're having one of those. Like videographer, photographer, and wedding coordinator. Ideally, you'd probably want them to have worked together before.
It would help. It definitely would help. My videographer and photographer, I don't believe that they'd ever worked together before. They might have done, but
they were great.
Not a lot. But what was really great is that there's an understanding with them, and I think this happens with a lot of videographers and photographers. The photographer takes the lead and the videographer is capturing everything. Yeah,
that's cute.
So my videographer very much would just jump in when he wanted me to do something again or wanted, you know, something specific, but majority of the time he was just filming while she was shooting, and it made it for such a lovely relaxed feel, and there was no feeling of like staged.
No, it was great.
Yeah, it was really easy. Like when we were doing the bridal party shots, because we only had a very small window to get it done because it rained all day. And she was very much like, you can hear it on the video, her being like, guys, look at me, do this, do that. Because we got smoke cannons, there was loads of us.
They were chaos.
Yeah, the whole thing was just chaos, wasn't it? But so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
So much fun. And they made it fun by being, you know, in on it and with us.
Yeah, and laughing at us.
Yeah. And it was just great. So that was really important. But it's ideal that they work together. Because a lot of photographers say, I've worked with this videographer before.
Yeah,
and you had that, haven't you?
Yeah, the person I've booked was off a recommendation from the photographer.
Yeah. So that's always nice because you know that they're gonna get on, because there are suppliers that don't get on.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It is gonna happen. Like nobody gets on with everybody.
Yeah, your venue will often have a list of recommended suppliers as well. That doesn't necessarily mean they work for the venue.
No.
I think depends on your venue. Some of them might have like, oh, you can own
commission.
Yeah, exactly. Which can be a bit not iffy, but you might not have the same quality.
Yeah. I think,
which might sound terrible, but that's what I would say.
No, it's true. It's true, because also there could be like long-standing relationships between venues and suppliers, but that supplier is not your vibe.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
I think the only time when it's sort of you absolutely have to is when it's like caterers.
Yeah, so a lot of the time venues will have their recommended caterers, won't they? You had how many you could choose from?
I think it was like 5 or 6.
Yeah, we had 5 as well. Completely varied in prices. So I think mine started from like £55 a head maybe for a 2-course meal.
Yeah.
And went up to something like 130.
Oh yeah, the price range. I think
as a starting, that 130 would have got you nothing with that caterer as well.
I think the venues try to work with people that they've worked with before and that they know will do good service
and use their kitchens well.
Exactly, because it looks badly on them. They also like to give you a range, like you said, with price.
Yeah,
I think it's important because people's budgets are very different.
Yeah, there's one venue we viewed that only had they had an in-house caterer, and that was the only one you could use.
Yeah, I think we viewed the same one.
Yeah. The food looked great.
Yeah, a lot of the ones that I visited, the food packages were the food packages. It was 50-50, I think, on what we viewed as to whether you could have suppliers or whether you had to have the in-house caterers.
Yeah, we only looked at 2 venues, so I haven't actually got that much.
Yeah, we looked at about 5, I think, and yeah, it's probably about 50-50, and the venue that we chose, you could have your own suppliers.
Yeah.
And we actually went for the cheapest option.
Yeah.
Our food was $37.50 a head.
Yours was an absolute bargain.
I know.
And it makes me ever so jealous because I value the food that we're having.
Yeah.
But I find it really hard, and I think I've said it before. You book your caterers without knowing if you like the food.
I know. And this is interesting if you have food options.
Yeah.
And some have to get your numbers in really early.
Yeah, I don't think I have to get my numbers in really early, but we've already done our food tasting and we're like 6 months out.
Yeah.
So
we did ours at 6 months.
We did it 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Like it was ages ago. The first one was before Christmas, wasn't it?
6 months to your wedding.
Well, yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy, isn't it?
That is crazy, yeah.
Yeah, we're in April.
Wow.
Anyway,
let's not think about that. 6 months before you'll sort of be invited for your food tasting, but you've already sent. Well, I sent my invites out. I think after our. Was it after? Yeah, because that was the 5th of November. We went and did our food tasting, and obviously we got married on the 6th of May. So I think we then sent our invites were ready to go because we didn't have options.
Yeah.
It was only like vegetarian. We could make the options. It wasn't something that other people could choose. Yeah. There was no additional food options.
Yeah.
It was, we had like, because we did like a summer barbecue. So you had like 4 meats, but we did 3 meats and halloumi and then 2 sides. So, but we did all of that. We picked it all. It wasn't an option as to what people could have because it was sharing.
Yeah.
And I was worried when we went for the food tasting that there wouldn't be enough food. There was so much food. It was so good.
We had a first food tasting, which was like a generic one. There was loads of couples there, and they did like a tasting. I've already seen the reason we booked our caterers was for something specific, and that wasn't given on that day, and we didn't know what we were really going for. So then we went back for a second one. So we were lucky. We actually got to try the food as the full size portions,
right?
Which was good. So we knew exactly what we were.
Yeah, that is good.
Like, we know what we're going to be giving to our guests.
That is really good.
So that feels better. But again, it's just so weird because I've already paid a deposit and a chunk for something you don't even know if you're going to like.
No, I know. It is a bizarre concept. I think everybody feels that. And I think we're lucky that we do really like our food.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing. But yeah, I think you kind of have to go on feel, really. And if you can see anything that they've done, and you can see sort of what the weddings they've done before the food looks like.
So hard to find that,
no,
though, because like the photographers don't take pictures of the food.
No, I know.
So how do the the caterers get it?
Yeah, to be fair, our when we went for our initial meeting, our venue were like, they are really good.
Oh yeah, I think
so. I was like, yeah, that was our preferred option anyway, because Sam doesn't like the traditional meat and 2 veg. So he doesn't eat any meat and 2 veg. So it was like that would be our preferred option anyway.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we went for. And then they did our evening food as well, because that's what we wanted.
Yeah, as are doing the same. Just keep it easy.
Yeah.
We could have other options, but they're there anyway.
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah.
So much easier.
With the food, you need to know when you book your venue what your restrictions are going to be on food. So we knew there were only 5 we could look at.
Yeah.
Once we'd been for our viewing, they sent us their most up-to-date menus at the time.
Yeah.
They sent us a whole package of stuff. It was really, really good, the venue did. So then you could look at that before making a decision. To be honest, me and Ellis knew we wanted to book there and would make the food work.
Yeah.
Which I think some people would do.
Yeah, I think most people would.
If you're really foodie or really fussy, you need to know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think I don't think we even contacted any of the other suppliers. We just went straight for the one we wanted, the caterer that we wanted. So that was like, that one.
Yeah. And I think you can overthink all of these decisions that you make for a wedding.
Yeah.
I'm constantly doing it and it drives me potty.
Yeah.
Sometimes just make the decision. The food, people don't really talk about amazing food they've had from a wedding.
No, but they will talk about
bad food.
Yeah.
So that's why it's good to have suggested suppliers.
Yeah.
Because you know they're going to be decent.
Yeah.
Because the venue wouldn't suggest them otherwise.
100%.
Go to the food tasting. Make sure you like it. Ask for a second one if you need to.
Yeah.
Or if you're doing a venue where you can bring in your own caterers, make sure you've been and actually had the food.
Yeah.
Make sure you know they can cope with a wedding.
Yeah.
Where a wedding's different to just doing a garden party and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
it depends what you want from your food. Like, if you want street food trucks and stuff like that, then make sure you've got the right ones and that the food is what you want. And again, they can cope with it, like you said. So
my friend had a fish and chip van, I believe it was, for hers. No, I don't think that was the day food, but that was evening food. But because it does just take longer to cook and there's over 100 guests, it took ages. People were in the queue for ages. So that takes away from the drinks reception. It takes, as in the cocktail hour, It takes away from the dancing, like all of that kind of stuff. Because if it gets to the point you're nearly at the front of the queue, you're not going to want to leave to go and watch the first dance.
No.
Obviously, you should. You should all go and watch the first dance.
That food shouldn't be. It should be after the first dance.
It was a bit weird. It was a bit of a...
Because ours was all served after the first dance and the cake cut.
Yeah. No, it started early. When I got there as an evening guest, it was already on.
Well, maybe it was the only food they had, but that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know because I was only an evening guest. I don't actually know.
But I think, that's a really important thing to think about, isn't it? Is whether your food options will work. Like we had pizza and they were like, people can come up slice by slice or get a whole pizza.
Yeah.
Or we can do boards. And I was like, just bring boards out because then people can just grab pizza when they want.
Yeah.
People were stood by the pizza van waiting for food. Me and Sam, they'd made sure we'd got our own pizza. It was
perfect because there was a pizza van next to the outdoor bar.
Yeah.
So I was at the outdoor bar, drinking, having shots, doing all of the above, chatting because it got nice weather by the afternoon, evening, and then I was there for the pizza. So I had a great time. Yeah. And then the dance floor wasn't very far away.
No, to be fair, it worked really well, and I think they've got it right, my venue, because they've got it all in really close succession, so you're going to get everything in the right place.
I actually don't know where the kitchen is in my venue.
No.
I think I do, but I can't put my teeth in. If for my venue I wanted to have different evening catering, which I can, you can have anyone for evening catering, but for the day you have to have a suggested supplier.
Yeah.
I don't know where they'd go because they have to be self-contained. They have to be like a van.
Yeah, have to have their own kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to use the venue's kitchen. So with my venue, I don't know where they'd be.
They'd have to be out the front, wouldn't they? Or could they get into the courtyard?
So that takes all your guests away.
Yeah.
From your dance floor, from your bar area, which is where I want to not contain everyone. That sounds awful.
No, but you want them all to be together. I agree with you, and that's something that's really interesting when you think about it.
Yeah.
And I think about it about my wedding is that my wedding was very outdoor venue, but it rained all day, so it wasn't an outdoor wedding. So that to me, actually, it was perfect because everybody had to stay inside. I actually think it was better for us that it was wet because everyone stayed together. But you do have to think about the journey of your wedding and where everyone and how it will all work.
Yeah, I like that mine are contained.
Yeah.
And yes, there's a few different areas, but we're all going to be there.
Yeah. And I was saying, wasn't I, about the drinks? How I was really disappointed that it was only literally one drink per person.
Yeah.
No, so if you want more drink, you need to order more than one drink per person.
Yeah, they don't just do a few extra. That's not how they work.
I didn't realise.
I think they'd be a bit under.
Oh, it was really disappointing actually. That was the one thing I was really disappointed about.
Yeah, drinks reception, I want to make sure I've got plenty.
Yeah, and because we were in the barn, it was fine because the bar was there and nobody cared. Everyone just had their drink and went to the bar. Had we have been outside, it would have been a real issue.
Would they have opened that outdoor bar next to the...
No, because that would have meant you'd have all have gone to the marquee.
And so where would we have had the drinks reception?
On the lawn where we had the
by the house.
Photo.
Oh, so not even that far across.
So actually it worked out really well for us.
Yeah, no, that was better.
But I was really disappointed. So if drinks matter, make sure that you
and that does matter to us.
Yeah, make sure you have a decent amount of welcome drinks.
Because it's quite from your ceremony to the venue. Obviously, people drove, so there's a gap in time. Whereas we're getting married at the same time, aren't we? Didn't you get married at 12:30?
No, 12.
Oh, so we're at 12:30.
Yeah,
but we're on site.
Yeah.
So it's a half an hour wedding ish.
Yeah.
So that takes you to 1.
Yeah.
And then you've got like the confetti line and all the photos and then the drinks reception. That means wedding breakfast normally 3:30?
Yeah.
So you've got like 2.5, 3 hours to fill.
Yeah.
There has to be enough drink.
Yeah. 100%. I think that's really important. You need to make sure that people only really care if they are fed and watered, so you make sure that you have canapes in that amount of time.
And the drink reception has got to be canapes.
Yeah, it's imperative to me to have some food in that time.
Oh, it's just not really funny.
Yeah, just make sure that people are fed and watered, and they will be happy.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care how long it is, so long as they have food and drink, they are fine.
Yeah.
but that's not suppliers. That's reception. Anyway, I think that's it sort of for our suppliers.
Music.
Yeah. So it depends what vibe you want, I think, because there's so many different types of music. We'll definitely do a full
100%
music one, but like as a run through, there's loads of different types of music you can have. Obviously, you can have a DJ, a band. If you have a band, do you want like a 2-man band? Do you want a big band with a saxophone? Do you want like proper instruments band? Do you want acoustic
one
band?
set? Do you want 2 sets? Do you want 3 sets?
Yeah.
Do you want DJ in the middle or playlist in the middle?
Yeah. So this is all stuff that you really need to think about. And think about the vibe of your wedding. Like my band, it was 2 guys, and their vibe just went with my wedding. It was like a guitar and a drum with a backing track. They were brilliant, and the vibe was just right. And I think it just went with the whole wedding. But it wouldn't be for everybody. It was very rustic. It was very chill, and that was us. But it wouldn't have been for everybody.
No, we want more of a. We loved them, and actually we would have them, but we'd end up just having the same version of the wedding, just different seasons.
It's better for you to have someone different.
But we wanted the sax, and we managed to find a band that have a sax that aren't extortionate, so it still gives that vibe of a sax.
Yeah. We wanted a sax, but again, it was something that we just didn't need to spend the money on, so we cut.
No.
And we wanted that type of band. I would have had a sax during the the drinks reception part, and I would have done it differently. I wouldn't have had it in the evening band. But yeah, I love that vibe. Yours will be a proper party vibe.
Yeah.
And ours was it was definitely a proper party, but it was a bit more chill.
Yeah. No, we want. Ellis won't leave a dance floor anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Everyone else will be there with him.
Yeah, but a band, again, you need to see. You found mine on TikTok from a promo video that they'd done.
Yeah.
And I absolutely adored them. And actually, they were playing a song that at the time I really loved.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love them.
They were amazing. They're so good.
Yeah, so I think you definitely need to see, because yes, okay, I saw a promo video, but then when I went on their social media, there was loads of real-time footage of them.
Yeah.
And that to me was these are the guys I want. But seeing real weddings is so important.
Or using the companies like I did.
Yeah.
So I used Entertainment Nation. So you've got the backup of it.
Yeah.
They only have decent suppliers. They have all of their songs put on there, as in pre-recording, so you can actually hear them. It's not necessarily weddings, but it's them singing. Yeah,
I think with music, obviously you can go one of 2 ways. You can do the Entertainment Nation that will, everything's all in one place, and you can find the supplier through that. But obviously there are bands that aren't on Entertainment Nation.
No, you've got to do a bit of research.
So you need to research as well, unless that's exactly what you want. Then fine.
I think most people we know who've booked bands either have seen them at other weddings, seen them at the local pub.
Yeah.
Things like that, and that's what they've done. And that way, other than for yourself.
Yeah.
That's generally what friends and family have done.
Yeah, I would have said so.
Or known someone in the band.
Yeah. No, definitely, I would agree. But bands is completely subjective to your taste and what you like. And I think you generally have to have a wedding band is a wedding band. You need to have some of the classics. But if you have a specific taste, then cater to that. It's your wedding. It is literally your wedding.
The other things, there's a few other... They're the ones that make a wedding, in our opinion.
Yeah.
There's a few other things that you could have. So you can have a wedding coordinator.
Yeah.
Content creator.
Yeah.
If you're having any entertainment in the day, so magician, smaller acoustic music,
lawn games. We've been to one where there's been a casino.
Casino, mini golf.
Yeah.
Ice cream stand I've seen,
pancake places.
There's been loads of different things like that, and you can do so much.
Yeah.
You still need to do the same amount of research for, I wouldn't say your smaller suppliers, but not the
main ones.
Yeah. There's ones that you can't have a wedding without.
Yeah.
And there's ones that it's personal preference.
Yeah.
If you can afford them, brilliant, but still make sure you've got the reviews, the research, the contracts.
Yeah. Well, I just grab my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I have had a little research. I looked on the Knot, and this is just a little guide of how to choose your wedding venue, your wedding suppliers.
Okay.
So, just a couple of little points we've spoken about, but it's worth mentioning. Don't forget your budget.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that when you go into a meeting or when you're searching, do not forget your budget.
Yeah, fair.
Don't skip supplier research, like we said. Make sure you do all of your research, and you know exactly what you're looking at. Read your contract properly and look at the fine print. Make sure that everything in the contract is what you have discussed, and there's no hidden costs, no hidden surprises, anything like that.
Yeah.
Don't book them too late. They can get booked up really, really quickly. So make sure that when you're booking them, or when you're asking about them, you know how long, you're going to be, which leads on to, like waiting to place a hold. So don't hold somebody and then not tell them, like we've said, and don't hold them for too long, because that's
just rude.
Rude. Yeah, it's rude. This is up to you, but hiring a wedding planner, if you don't feel like this is all things that you can take control of, then hiring a wedding planner to do it for you. Because not everybody has the time to do it themselves.
No.
But if you're getting a wedding planner, then make sure that you've done your research into them and you know you're getting a good one.
Yep.
Don't ignore professional advice. These people are the professionals.
They know what they're on about.
Yeah. Like I was saying to, I can't remember who it was, but I was like, I feel worried about things I've not done for the wedding. This was like getting close to the wedding. And then we went for our final meeting, and our day of coordinator, he was like, "You're okay. Like, it's all right. Don't worry." And I was like, "What do you mean? I haven't done this, I haven't done that." He's like, that's fine. And I was like, okay. So it is because he's a professional. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he knows that everything's going to work out.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But listen to them. Don't always choose the cheapest option. Do it like with a photographer. Like with my videographer, I chose a cheaper option, and through no fault of his own, ended up booking an abroad wedding, which meant that he would have to travel the day that my wedding was. So he wasn't able to do it anymore. So I then went for a more expensive videographer, but it wasn't because he didn't want to do my wedding, or that he was a bad supplier or anything like that. He just happened to do that, and he was like happy to help me. Like, he let me know in plenty of time.
Yeah.
He was also happy to help me with anything I needed. So, but I had already contacted my videographer and then just went back to him and was like, "Are you still free?"
Yeah.
So yeah. But don't always go for the cheapest option.
Look at what that includes as the cheapest option.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. It might be cheaper, but you might only have, say for a photographer, you might only have 6 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of them do 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah. Mine did 12.
Yeah, but that just means you're missing out on a big chunk of your day.
Yeah.
They're only doing 6 hours. That's not actually very much for a wedding day.
Or what they supply in the photographs. So they might not necessarily all have, they might not supply the same amount of photos, so they might not do family shots, for example. They might not cover certain parts of it. So just make sure that you're checking exactly what you're getting for your money. Also avoid sort of poor communications and making sure that you are setting your expectations. So if you are wanting something specific, make sure you say that to them. Because they're not mind readers.
No.
They need to know. And like we said before, making sure that you are compatible as a supplier, business, relationship. Make sure that they are people that you want at your wedding day. Don't let other people make the decisions for you. Don't always be swayed by other people.
No, take suggestions and take advice, but it's your day at the end of the day.
Exactly. Don't try and do everything at once. Take your time. If you know you want a specific supplier, make sure you get into them early. But other ones, you can afford to take your time and do some research. You don't need to rush into everything.
Yeah.
And don't forget to have fun. It's meant to be a fun day after all. It's meant to be something nice. Don't forget that the whole point of this is to have fun and to marry the person that you love the most in the world. So, you know, it's not meant to be stressful. It's not meant to be difficult. It is meant to be fun.
Yeah, 100%. Very good.
Yeah, so that's sort of a bit of an idea on how to pick your vendors. I think it's more what we've done really.
Yeah.
What we wanted, how we wanted to do it, and where we've decided to get ours from.
Yeah.
And how they came about.
Yep.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
For suppliers, vendors, however you say it. I think one's American and one's British, isn't it?
I wouldn't know.
No, I wouldn't either. Anyway, that is it for now. We'll be back again with another one next week.
Yep.
Talking about who knows
Something.
what. Something to do with a wedding.
Yep.
But for now, I'm Philippa.
I'm Hayley.
This was Confetti Conversations, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.